recreate something for you, and I want to tell me what this makes you think about.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to stand up here in studio.
You're standing up.
And I feel like I'm on the football field.
All right.
And I'm the quarterback.
Okay.
What's that? I'll do it again so you can hear it.
All right.
And so the people out there in their cars can hear it.
Yeah. You clapping. Yep, you clapped.
Right, because this is what Jaxson Dart did in college.
Every single play.
He's a little bit of a mute of a quarterback because he's one of those robo quarterbacks in college where everybody turns to the sideline and looks at the plays, and then they stand up there, and then they clap to get the snap. They don't do that in the NFL.
Nope.
So he's got a year. He's not going to play right away. That's fine. It's all good. And Brian Daboll got his quarterback that he wanted out of this very lackluster quarterback class.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, he's going to have to learn how to become an NFL QB. Now, he's a little bit older, so that's good. He's more mature. He's played a lot of football. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. Seems like a really nice kid. I'm not gonna kill the kid. I want to give him every opportunity to be a success. But he's here to learn the first year. And, I think of a guy like him, when he gets in there and he sees Brian's offense and what he has to do at the line of scrimmage, maybe take a snap from center every now and again, it's not going to be, it's going to be an adjustment for him.
Yeah, and the reason why we know about the snap count thing is he did the Gruden QB camp. I sent Jerry the audio for that because there's a couple bleeps in there because John Gruden is quietly beside himself. The fact that that's all he did as a snap count was clap. And there's some other things in there that Gruden really didn't like as far as him not being able to get down and putting himself in bad situations, get hit and get hurt. I just think this is another example of a QB-needy team doing something that they shouldn't do because they need a quarterback and they weren't in a position to get a good one. So, sort of like what the Giants did with Daniel Jones back in the day. Now, it's amazing because according to Adam Schefter, the Giants made a big push to trade up to get Cam Ward number one, and the Titans said no. So they really like Cam Ward. Last year, we saw them on Hard Knocks talk to the New England Patriots. I'm sure if it wasn't the Commanders, they might have talked to them as well. But obviously, the intra-division stuff is tough. They want to trade up and get Drake May. They won meaningless games in the last 2 seasons that knocked them out of that. Now, you got to play to win every game, yada, 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 all that stuff. And sometimes this franchise turning around thing has a lot of luck involved. And they got screwed out of quarterbacks they really wanted twice. And now they're sitting there trading back in for no reason to get Jaxson Dart. No one else was taking him.
So I know that. So here we are. And last night, ESPN opens their draft coverage. And I don't know if you saw the opening, but because the Knicks game was going on at the same time, I wanted to see how they were going to open the whole thing. And the ESPN coverage, forget about Roger Goodell and those guys in the bicycles. That's a Green Bay thing, and that's fine. But what I was talking about is the way that they started fawning over Shadeur Sanders before anything even happened. And by the way, we all knew Cam Ward was going to be the number one pick.
Yeah.
You would think that you would start with Cam Ward. You would talk about Cam Ward. You would talk about all the intangibles that he brings. It's his night. He's the number one pick. But as much as I like Mel Kiper and those guys and Mike Greenberg and everybody else, I mean, it was just fawning over Shadeur Sanders for the first 3 minutes of the opening. And I'm like, you guys got to be kidding me. This is what you're starting with?
Yeah, and it kept going. I went right to the NFL Network after that. I mean, Louis Riddick has this, it's like sick obsession with Colorado, Deion Sanders and Shadeur Sanders. And it's just one of these reciprocal relationships where Deion kisses Louis Riddick's ass and back and forth. It was nauseating. It's like all these other kids are up there realizing their dream, and all the fans are watching to see what their team is doing, and they're focusing on a guy who fell out of the first round, which I don't quite understand. And
I do. I totally
know. But you alluded yesterday there was something else that was going on. It has to be because going into this thing, there wasn't a single person who had evaluated Jaxson Dart ahead of Shadeur Sanders. Not a single person. Not a single mock draft
Not until you sit down and you meet these guys and you go over and you meet them again, you meet them again, you meet them again, you keep doing your homework, you keep talking to them. That's the one thing that they have over all of us.
Yeah.
You know, they sit down and they talk amongst themselves specifically about these particular players. We as media, especially where we're in the outer circle. And, you know, we do have contacts within the media, within the NFL, and we can get some information, but we don't have nearly the amount of information that these coaching staffs, these general managers and scouts have over us. So, and I'm not saying that's the way it is for those guys that are doing the draft for either NFL Network or ESPN. I don't know how deep their knowledge goes. I do know that guys like Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, they know what the hell they're talking about, but sometimes even they can be biased because they talk themselves into something. And again, we're dealing with human beings here, and you just never know what the hell else is going on, you know, around somebody and the discussions that people are having about them. I fell to the second round. I know how Shadeur Sanders feels. It's embarrassing. You feel like I felt honestly that I was going to be a top 10 pick. I fell out of the top 10. I fell out of the top 20. I fell out of the top 30. And next thing you know, I'm sitting there waiting for a phone call. And thankfully, that day was the same day because the draft was, I think, was 3 rounds in the first day. So I got picked the first day, but it was a long 4.5-hour wait for me. So this, unfortunately, for Shadeur Sanders, and I hate the fact that it's happening to this kid. I hate it happens to any of these kids. But he has a little bit of egg on his face, a little bit of humble pie on his face, and maybe he has a chip on his shoulder now, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get the best out of him just simply because he now has a wake-up call that, you know, Dad ain't making the pick. Dad's not your coach. Dad is you know, going to be his, you know, do his thing at Colorado, and you now have to be out on your own, and you have to be a kid that has got to grow up into a man relatively quickly. If you want to make it in the NFL, you are not going to be given anything in the NFL. The entitlement era right now is basically over for you. I mean, because the last 4 years, he's been the entitled one along with Travis Hunter. You know, they went to Jackson State together. They were immediately starters, and Travis Hunter played both ways. They go to Colorado to get together, so they're stepping up in competition, and the same thing happens. But now it's reality. This is reality. Something happened to him somewhere along the line, interview process, pro day, combine, whatever it may be. He's got to deal with that now, and there's got to be a little bit of humble pie.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I don't know how you don't have that. I'll look at it, and the chip on his shoulder might be the thing that fuels him. We've seen that many times with other prospects in the draft. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up and starts his career. But he's not a New York Giant, and he's not going to be a New York Giant. He still may end up on the New York Jets. I don't think that's a total non-possibility. It's maybe something that could happen, a small chance of that happening. But it's going to be Jaxson Dart. And I really do feel like the Giants have this connection to their past that ends up hurting them in the future when they try to make the young guys the old guys. Meaning that when they saw Daniel Jones, they're like, this guy's just like Eli. He talks like him, and he'll be perfect. Nope, he's not just like Eli. Oh, this kid's from Ole Miss. He's just like Eli. No, he's not. Stop. And just because you draft a bunch of pass rushers doesn't mean they're all going to turn into the 2007 Giants, by the way. Now, I can't knock the Abdul Carter pick, but the fact they picked up that loser Kayvon Thibodeau's fifth-year option is another dumb thing that they did yesterday. Trade his ass out of here.
Well, I think he was at a Giant draft party last night, so they couldn't do that. That would have been embarrassing.
Well, obviously they obviously knew that they were going to do that. That's why they had him at the draft party. But if he were drafted by the previous regime and had the career that he had up until this point, his ass would have been gone. But it's embarrassing for these guys, Joe Shane and Brian Dable, who draft those guys high, and then they're like, you know, before they make it to their fifth-year option, they jettison them out of here. It makes them look like crap.
Well, but I also think that there's going to be, he's got another year to prove it now that they picked up his fifth-year option. But, you know, you got to believe you got to be incentivized, and it sounds to me like Abdul Carter is going to be more of that hybrid guy now.
Yeah, which is great. He should be a great player. Everybody believes he'll be a great player. The foot thing doesn't seem like an issue. There's nothing you could say about that. But I'm just.
But neither of us are like, all right, so you're all verklempt over the trading back up to get Jaxson Dart. You and I want to say 99% of the fans out there are not shocked with who the Jets or the Giants picked with their 3rd and 7th overall pick. We are not shocked at all.
No.
As a matter of fact, they asked us here yesterday. I think Izzo asked us.
Yeah.
And I remember you going, remember?
Well, of course. I mean, everybody had that. So. Everybody had that, you know? So, but yeah, the Jaxson Dart thing. So, I mean, of course, we had heard yesterday, and then the what's his name? Shane's kid. Carson Shane.
Get that kid on the phone now. I want to talk to that kid.
So,
that kid's got inside information, man.
Right. Well, of course. Carson Shane put out the Jaxson Dart thing. So I was prepared for it, that they liked him, and I was also prepared for it to be a smoke screen, too. But so it wasn't all that surprising that they ended up with him. But now I'm thinking, like you look at these teams so they got duped by the Rams because people were saying McVay loves Dart. McVay loves Dart. Well, Connor Hughes came out and said there was no way in hell that the Rams were taking Jaxson Dart, according to his league sources. And, oh, by the way, you know, they ended up trading out of their pick as well. So then you look at all of these other situations here. All right, so the Falcons traded up, fine. Then you got the Ravens not taking a quarterback, Lions not taking a quarterback, Commanders not taking a quarterback, Bills not taking a quarterback.
That doesn't mean that they
Eagles
wouldn't. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't be trading up with the Browns, who I thought the Browns actually finally did a smart thing. Because you remember when the season was over and Myles Garrett was unhappy, and I was telling you that the Browns should trade Myles Garrett, get more assets back, start rebuilding this team.
Yeah.
And instead of trading Myles Garrett, they essentially traded Travis Hunter to the Jags. And they're going to rebuild their team through the draft by acquiring more draft picks and getting the first-round pick from the Jags next year.
Yeah.
I mean, all of this stuff, I think if you have designs on a quarterback in the future, maybe that quarterback in the future, let's say, is Arch Manning. And he may not come out next year. I was with Peyton yesterday, and I asked him, so how's Arch doing? He goes, he loves Texas. Everything's great. I said, is it coming out next year? He goes, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. He really didn't know. I mean, as a matter of fact, he said he's really enjoying his time there, and maybe he wants to do what Uncle Peyton and Uncle Eli did and stay in college and enjoy your college time before you have to step into this madness that is called the NFL. But anyway, I thought the Browns did the right thing last night. They traded a premium player to the Jags who had basically wanted him, and that GM down there in Jacksonville was just, pining for a trade. He wanted a trade. He wanted to get Travis Hunter. And then the Browns come away with Mason Graham, who I thought was, another can't-miss, terrific player for the defensive line of the Browns, and then they added more assets. So finally, I felt like the Browns got it right.
Yeah, good for them. They'll still suck for the next 30 years.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm just tired of them. Why are we even focusing on the Cleveland Browns right now?
Well,
they never do anything right.
Because you know why? Because that was a huge trade.
That's why. Don't care. They suck. They always suck. They never do anything. They're a bunch of losers. Franchise are worse than the two teams here, for God's sakes. Wasting our breath on the goddamn Cleveland Browns.
Well, it was a big trade last night. You have to admit that.
Okay. Well, the bigger trade was the Jaxson Dart one, who's pudgy and from Utah and claps. He's a pudgy Utah clapper. That's what we got.
Okay.
That's what we got here.
Use the pudgy? No.
What do you mean? We already did use the pudgy.
Yeah, but I didn't get to you early enough. I was running a little bit late this morning.
Well, yeah, but you were the one who forced it out of me the other day. Yeah, okay.
All right, well, I just didn't get here.
I said I didn't say I wanted to say it. You're the one who said it. You want me to say it?
No, I don't want you to say it.
But yesterday, I said I wasn't going to say it. And then you said, I'll say it. And you went out and said it.
Right, but then I said, I'll say it because that was part of something that you could say. It wasn't something that you couldn't say. You weren't told you couldn't say it.
Well, I said
because you were mixing up what you thought you could say and you couldn't say, and this is in regards to Phil's notes.
Right, but there was one player that he gave you the notes. He said, don't say this. And it wasn't that guy.
And it wasn't that.
Right.
That's why I said what I said.
But I still didn't want to say it. You go back, you could play the test.
I know, and I
can't get mad at me.
I'm not.
Can't get mad at me with that one.
Dude, I'm not mad at you.
Listen, the pudgy's already out there, so it's already out there.
Shut your ass up.
It's already out there. It's in the universe. It's the FAN posted it.
Oh, my gosh.
It's all out there. It's already happened.
I just wanted to.
Pudgy's been born into the world.
I just wanted to lay off the pudgy because I I did get a phone call yesterday.
Yeah. Well,
And he said, he looked at my notes and used the word pudgy. I said, well, pudgy's a funny word. And Gio likes funny words. And Gio likes to use those words over and over again.
you
if he
were
finds
in
something
here when he
funny.
did the same thing. You were here too because
No, I know that. I understand
you
that.
two guys trying to pin this on me is
No.
hilarious.
I told him. I said I was the one that A-okayed the use of the word because that wasn't on the list that you said that we couldn't say on your notes.
Oh, by the way, cat's out of the bag spot. Pudgy's out into the universe.
Tomato, banana, papaya, apple, grape, wild blueberry. Oh my gosh.
Can't take it back now.
So I had to explain it to him yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had to take the brunt of the heat.
All right.
I absorbed the heat for you.
For me,
I
it
took
wasn't
an
my
hour.
decision.
That's
What are you talking
well, yeah,
about?
that's what I told him. He thought
You
it
just
was.
said you absorbed the heat from me. The heat shouldn't be on me. I was trying to protect him. You didn't care.
I'm just telling you what I had to deal with yesterday.
Okay.
And I protected you yesterday. I took the slings and arrows because I said it was me who brought the word up because I knew that was on the scouting report
All right.
that we were told.
He never
we were-
said
he
not
never
to
said
say
anything
that.
not to say that.
Right.
I think he forgot that and got that mixed up with something else.
That is true. Yes.
So all I'm saying is that, yes, I said I brought it up. It was my fault because he said he'd tell that little meatball next to you to stop using that word.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love that guy. But yeah. Anyway, I don't.
By the way, he may call in this morning, Al, if he has something to get off his chest.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for an
just
angry Phil Simms.
Yeah, either that or you may want to text him and say you got something you want to get off your chest.
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Now he's a Giant. So now all we're going to hear is how great Jaxson Dart is. Come on. You know that. I know that. Whatever he really feels about him will be out the window. I don't know. This is just another example, one of these things. It's just these guys that get overrated, quarterback needy teams. It's just over and over and over and over again. I mean, it's like if you go back to the beginning of this draft and the evaluation, you're like, I don't think Cam Ward or Shadeur Sanders are top 10 picks. Okay.
That's what I said,
right.
especially compared to last year's picks.
Okay, so if they're not top 10 picks, at that point of the evaluation, where the F was Jaxson Dart? Nowhere to be found. I'll answer it for you. But then all of a sudden, we need a quarterback because we won some stupid-ass game against the Indianapolis Colts. So let's trade back in and get this guy who does this. And then there's a system quarterback in Lane Kiffin's offense and has no idea what the hell he's doing unless he's looking to the sideline for the coach to give him the play.
All right, well, that's going to have to change, and there's no...
and he's not Josh Allen, by the way. It's Josh Allen comparisons. You were gonna
I understand.
Not Josh Allen.
That's just physical. I'm just saying that he doesn't have to play right away. This is why you have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston here. He could sit and do some mop-up duty, whatever it may be, however they decide to use him. But there's no pressure to throw him in there right now. And this is Brian Daboll's, it's his quarterback. This is the guy that he decided out of this draft that they wanted if they couldn't get Cam Ward. So I'm not going to bitch and complain about that because it's one piece of the puzzle. The Giants should have a better defense. There's still some more draft picks to make over the next 2 days.
It's the most important piece of the puzzle.
You know what? It's
Listen,
okay.
I know we all want to sit here and couch this thing because he may end up being good, but I'm sorry. I will take the you were wrong all day long. I just think it was stupid. Just like I sat here and I thought that the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy was stupid. So if anybody sits here and is like, oh, you're hating on the Giants. No, I think what my team did was stupid. I can't stand that little kid. I don't think he's going to stink.
Well, the thing is that you do have a very strong opinion, which I appreciate, which is what you're supposed to have.
And I may be wrong about it, but I'm not going to sit here and couch every goddamn statement. Well, we'll see what happens. No, this is stupid. And if it works out, it works out. My opinion was stupid.
The guy's going to suck in the NFL.
Make it two guys.
He doesn't have it. I'm just telling
Another
you
one.
right now, you could smell it.
Same high school as Zach Wilson. And we're sending him to get another one of these kids to New Jersey to save a New York football franchise.
And by the way, the kid is not 21.
Oh, my
you got to remember, he's 26.
No, he's not 26. Tyler Shuck was 26.
Oh, how old is this kid? 23?
I don't even
21, I think.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
God. Oh, God.
He's 21.
Oh, God.
He's going to be 22 next month, if that
There you
helps.
go.